Welcome back for part 3 with this session of Sean and Kyle Talk About Things as a little mini pod of the Force-Fed Sci-Fi podcast. We are welcoming back you. I am one of your co-hosts, Sean Michael Culp, and along with me is my brother,
Kyle Jordan Culp, as your other co-host today.
Boom, shakalaka. And we are back for part 3. I know we first did a Star Wars one, and then we talked about Black Widow and kind of Marvel. And now we are here to discuss Dune and Eternals, because we saw Eternals.
Yep, we saw Eternals yesterday, and Dune, we've both seen on multiple occasions. And don't worry, we will, before we get into anything, Sean will happily give a nice warning for spoilers.
Sure, spoilers for anyone out there that is... haven't seen the movie. If you want to know like our ratings, just fast forward to the end and we'll talk a little bit about, we'll give our ratings so you can check it out, or just wait, view it on your own and then revisit this podcast or check out our other episodes that we got. So that's a spoiler. So before we jump in, I will give a little, synopsis about Dune. So Dune is... just came out. It's directed by Denis whatever the heck his last name is. I'm not that guy. This is a remake of the... it's kind of like an adaptation, a remake-esque of David Lynch's 1984 Dune film. Then there was a 2000 John Harrison's miniseries. And then the book, obviously, that came out by Frank Herbert. So this series... came out October 21st, right? Pretty recently. And basically, if I can get a little Dune synopsis here. So Dune, it's basically about this guy named Paul Atreides, a brilliant and gifted young man born into a great destiny beyond his understanding, must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people. As malevolent forces explode into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource in existence, spice, only those who can conquer their own fear will survive. And I will thank the internet for that synopsis.
So, Sean, what's your first impressions? Go. Let me have it. Let me hear it. I know, because this is one where Sean and I won't be like Star Wars and Black Widow. We do kind of have slightly different takes on how we felt about it. I am one that has not seen the originals.
Me either.
Okay.
I haven't. Have you read the books at all?
Nope. I went into this knowing nothing outside of what the trailer told me. Same. All right. So, Sean, first impressions. What do you think?
First impressions. So, like you, I knew nothing. I went in blank slate. I hated it initially. I've tried to watch it 4 times. First time I was with a friend, and her child was kind of like distracting, and so I was kind of like, and the volume was low, so then I tried rewatching it, and I fell asleep. Then I tried rewatching it again, and I fell asleep, and then for the 4th time, I was like, 4th time's a charm, I fell asleep. So, I have seen the movie, though, by and by, 4 times through, and it is just, to me... the slowest piece of freaking filmmaking I've ever seen in my entire life. Holy crap. Now, director, this guy, he made Blade Runner 2049. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that one.
Have you seen the original Blade Runner?
I think I did, but it was a long time ago.
Okay.
The one, it was with Harrison Ford in both of them, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think I saw the original.
And Ryan Gosling is in the second one.
Okay.
And like Jared Leto. So... Blade Runner is in and of itself its own unique sci-fi like story. It's very engrossed. It always was kind of a slower pace, but it's very about world building and detective-y. And the second one was very slow, but it was beautiful. And so with him knowing that, I was like, all right, this guy made Arrival, Blade Runner. Okay, it's going to be good. It was just so darn slow for me. I could not, I just found myself bored so much. The visuals are incredible, but it wasn't my cup of tea. From the worms to the battles with like knives and shields and spice controlling everything.
Kind of felt a little old school for the year because it takes place. It says, I
Game
think
of
it says
Thrones.
at the beginning, the year is 10,191 or something like that.
It's like
we're
10,000.
we're 8,000 years in the future and we're still using knives.
And like spy, and I guess like the story is kind of like in the book because I did read the Wikipedia synopsis of the book, so I read a little bit, but apparently like they got rid of computers over the course of time. And
how would space travel be possible? I mean, hey, we don't know. This is a little over 8,100 years in the future. Maybe it is. We don't know.
It was written in the 60s, baby. This man might have taken a ton of drugs.
All they say is spice is used to navigate through like stars and is the highest form of navigation or whatever through space. So maybe throwing a little cumin into that engine it takes you where you want to go. I don't know.
What? You hate someone who was messing around like with Doc with the trash in Back to the Future.
And they found a little cayenne pepper.
Wow, baby. This thing gets us going. Who would have thought?
Found a little cayenne pepper and some cumin, mixed it together, and we got spice.
The key to our space intergalactic travels is in the cabinet, baby.
Yeah, it's in every house. Just know it, people. If you want to go to space, Jeff Bezos ain't got nothing on you. You can go there with the power of cayenne pepper and cumin.
I feel like for me the worst part about this film is it was so for fans.
Yeah, and very fan servicey.
Yes, the lack of title crawl, the lack of letting us know the scenery, the environment, the rules of the environment really threw me for a loop. How about you?
So, again, I've not even read the Wikipedia, nothing. So my first impression when I saw it is I thought it was actually pretty good. As I have said to Sean, we talked a little bit before the show. I did feel like it was kind of a roller coaster in the terms of it went from being interesting to a lot of nothing happening to a climactic part back down to nothing happening, and it just kept doing that the entire movie. Like when it starts, I mean, you get introduced to, Paul, his mom, his dad, the House of Atreides, and that's really cool. Like you get to see all that. You get to see them getting their orders from the Emperor, and the Atreides are essentially like the most powerful warriors is what it's shown because like they go there and they're like, he even says, what does he say? Like, there's no call the House of Atreides will not answer, no duty we won't do, or something like that. Like they're very like, you can tell they're very honorable and very like military based. And I mean the universe, because it's shown later in the movie that I can't remember their name. The harvesters that were there that got kicked off the planet by the Emperor.
Dave Bautista?
Yeah. Him and his
Skarsgård.
uncle, who is
the Baron.
Yes, the Baron.
Who's like a mob boss guy
who I think is the brother of the Emperor or something like that, potentially. I don't know, because it's never said.
No.
But, they even fear Duncan, who is played by Jason Momoa, who is pretty much introduced as like the greatest fighter of the Atreides. And he is also the mentor and trainer of Paul, our main character, our protagonist. So it's like you get introduced to him and you're like, okay. And, they got a little witty banter and stuff like that. And he gets sent off and, you like him. And then, like,
the kid,
you like Paul, you like Jason Momoa's character. You get introduced to Josh Brolin's character, who is kind of like the second to Duncan.
Yeah,
I can't remember Josh Brolin's character's name.
So Josh Brolin, here we'll give you some.
Yeah,
names.
I was about to say, what is his name?
Timothée Chalamet is Paul, the kid. He's the heir of the House of Atreides. Then there's Rebecca Ferguson. She's Lady Jessica. There's Oscar Isaac, who's the Duke.
Love
Leto Atreides. Josh Brolin is Gurney Halleck. He's the weapons master of the House of Atreides and Paul's mentor.
Yep.
Stellan Skarsgård is the Baron. He's the enemy of the House of Atreides. Then Bautista's the Baron's nephew. And I think that's really all we need to really know. Oh, wait. And then Momoa is Duncan Idaho, the sword master of the House of Atreides.
Yeah. So, like, Duncan in... I already forgot. Josh Brolin's character and Jason Momoa's character are known
Gurney,
as
I think.
Gurney and Duncan. Okay.
What a name.
Yeah, right, Gurney. Like, that's a place in Illinois, but that's fine. But but yeah, like they're introduced as like two of the most powerful people like on this planet. So you're like, okay. Yeah. And you get great characters. This is all in like the first like 20, 30 minutes. You get introduced to all these characters, these themes. It's like really good. The voice, yeah. But then after the first like 20, 30 minutes, it kind of just levels out into nothing. Like, I mean, it kind of starts to drag.
Yeah, well, even the exposition, because it's like this whole film seems like exposition. Yeah, it's like setting up this big battle that's supposed to take part in part 2. And like even the rules, like instead of telling us the rules, they show us. Like when Paul battles Gurney, like they show the shields, because I guess when they fight they use swords, and then all the people have like a force field that goes around their body.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think it's something on like the wrist or the hand. They turn it on and it kind of like can stop damage, but it's like
you could still pierce it.
And
hit
like,
the body. It like turns
explained.
red.
It might be explained in the book. If it's like, is it just enough damage to the shield or to one spot or a sharp enough object? Because
and it's weird because there's a bug that flies through.
The Hunter Seekers are one of the cool things. That's where it's kind of futuristic, because the Hunter Seekers are kind of like, they look like tacks or like tops, like spinning tops, except one side is way longer and it's kind of like a really sharp needle. And they get shot, to my understanding from watching it twice, they get shot at such a high speed and they have such piercing, they like will slowly pierce through the force field and inevitably like kill you unless you are like quick enough to stop them.
Yeah,
but
Paul's able to like avoid one by slowing down time and space.
I didn't understand that, because he sees it and it's just there.
Is that the voice?
And then he grabs it or something out of the air, and I was like, huh?
I have no idea.
The voice. Talk a little about that.
I have no idea what the hell the voice is. So it's like you meet Paul and he's like sitting at a table with his mom, like far away. Because it's like a movie and they just like...
Take the cup of water.
Yeah, and she's like, take the cup of water. And he's like, all right, pass me the water. She's like, no, use the voice. Make me give you the water. So then like you just hear all of a sudden, BOOM! Because Hans Zimmer or whatever the heck, Hans Zimmer is the music guy. So this is like a Christopher Nolan film with the blaring soundtrack. So
the bass is up to 100.
Oh my God. And it's great. It's beautiful, but it's just so repetitive with the soundtrack. And so all of a sudden you just hear like his voice. He's like, give me the water. And it's like telekinesis.
Yeah, and it has the power to like control people. Like it's like a form of mind control that can work on anyone. And like,
but
when Paul does
do it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a thing that's only in women, but somehow Paul has it.
Yeah, because there's like this black hooded species of women that like the mom's part of, and
some sisterhood that doesn't get explained. You just see them. They're like a sisterhood of witches or something like that, and they have this power. And it's, as I told Sean earlier, they're only allowed to have this power in women. But then the mom later on in the movie gets like criticized by the leader or supposed leader that we meet of the house for having a son. So my question is, in the year 10,191, can they control what gender their baby is going to be?
I don't know. It's the mom's like the Reverend Mother and the Emperor's Truthsayer. There's just so much.
That did not make sense to me. I'll be honest. And then the whole when
she maybe controls the world.
What was it? Paul gets tested later before they leave the planet. Yeah. So after they receive their orders from the Emperor to go claim the planet that the spice is on, which, why is there only one planet with spice if it's the most valuable resource?
Because Frank Herbert said so.
Yeah, and it's like I said to you, is it a renewable resource? Does it just come back naturally?
I don't know.
Or is there a finite amount?
Like the planet?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's never explained.
I don't know.
But like Paul has to get tested by the lady by putting his hand in a box that she said, and he says, "What's in the box?" Pain. I was like, what is there? A couple of tacks in there that he's got to set his hand on?
What's in the box?
Pain.
And
then she threatens to kill him. She's holding a poison needle to his neck. It says, it'll cause instant death if you take your hand out. Yep. So I'm like, what? And then the mom is told to stand guard of the door.
They're like testing the voice or something.
Testing
to see,
his
like,
mind,
his self-control, to see if he's going to like lose it, because Paul's supposed to be this like super
Jesus.
erratic, like emotional teenager.
Johnny's the reincarnate of Jesus. Come on, be
He basically is. He is Jesus Christ that has come to save the spice people.
All right, Sean, let's stop cutting to the chase. He is what is known as, what we said in the first podcast, the Gary Stew.
He is the Gary Stew.
Paul
is the ultimate Gary Stew.
I will criticize this movie for making a Gary Stew because Paul can do no wrong, and he does no wrong. Any scenario that he gets in, he gets out of, and it's
perfect.
He never does anything wrong. And
even when him and his mom get captured,
yeah, but
the mom saves him.
But so like what happens? He passed the test, then
like he pulls his hand out, then they lady
go to the
scoffs, and she's like, "Yeah, he passed, but now he's your problem. You have to watch over him."
Yeah,
but the lady though, all right, so they land right. The father, Isaac Hayes, the Duke, they land on the planet, right? Because they kicked off Dave Bautista and the Bear and the villains off the planet, even though they've been in control for 80 years.
And they've been harvesting the spice for almost 100 years, and that's like their job kind of. And you can only harvest at night because the sun is so hot, and it's so hot in the desert you can die.
But then there's scavengers on the planet where what's her face?
You talking about
Zendaya?
Zendaya.
So Zendaya
from Spider-Man.
Spider-Man has been like a young French woman, Paul's love interest, as Chani. I don't even know the name. She was marketed the hell out of this freaking film in the trailer, and she is in it for like 10 minutes.
She is shown in Paul's dreams because he has like premonitions too that he needs to go there, and he like foresees Duncan's death, and he foresees all this stuff that's going to happen.
Sees both. He's able to like tell the future, but he sees both sides. He either like sees him like winning or dying, and then like Duncan either joining the Harvingers or like
dying.
He always like sees both sides. So it's like you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and
which is cool.
He sees the success of like Atreides and stuff like that, but then he also sees himself going to war and him leading the highest form of Atreides soldiers and like a fight and killing people, and he is doing it. But then at the same time, he sees the entire kingdom burning down. So then he's like doesn't know what to think because he's like, why am I seeing both of these?
It's just, which is cool, I guess. I don't know.
It just.
And then everyone has blue eyes, the harvesters.
Well, if you're exposed enough to spice, your eyes turn blue.
Your eyes turn blue.
Why?
And that's like for the Zendaya chick or Zendaya, whatever the hell her name is. She, they just kept like showing her, like he kept having dreams of her making out with her and then dying from her. It's just, I don't know. But long story short, right, they get under attack.
Well, so they get there and, they're trying to like figure everything out. And when like this, that's when it got cool. When they get there and they're learning about the planet, learning about the harvesters, learning about all that, I enjoyed because like
see the worm.
You get to see like the Duke and like Paul and Gurney. You get to see all of them like fly these new ships. You get to see them reunite with Duncan and all this stuff. You get to see all that. You get to meet the leader of the what are they called? Not the scavenger. I mean the sand people. That
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, you get to meet them, and he's like, they're very honorable people.
Screw you. He spits on the ground.
And then Duncan's like, we graciously accept your gift of moisture in these trying times. And then they all spit on the table. Like, what? I was like, all right, I like it. But like,
I don't know.
You get introduced to like all these different like mechanics, all like the stuff in there. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, they go out and see how the harvesters work and see a sandworm, but then you get the climactic part of one of the anchors on the what do they call them, the things that pick up the harvesters. You get to see one of them malfunction and them have to rescue everyone off the harvester
because the sandworms come in.
Paul has to come to Jesus staring at the harvester because he has an allergic reaction to the spice.
And then, like, they become under attack. There's an assassination attempt on
and then
the Duke.
And then
by the doctor sells him out.
Yep, because his wife is being held captive by the Baron. So he sells out his entire country and his people for his wife from a guy that is essentially Al Capone in space.
Yeah.
And believes him.
That bathes in what looks like to be soy sauce and oil, but it's actually blood from like the warriors that don't meet the test.
And it's like has healing and regenerative properties. But like you get to see the Duke get murdered, which that did kind of suck. I'm not going to lie, because I liked him, but he was only in the movie for the first like 25 minutes. Yeah. He gets murdered and the Hunter Seeker goes through his shield.
Time. Yeah.
But then you get to see him. The doctor then gets insurance on him and gives him a fake tooth that has gas that can fill a room instantly and kill everyone. As he tries to assassinate the Baron with it.
And then the doctor dies because the Baron's like, I'll let you join your wife.
And then kills him. And chops his head off.
And then the freaking, then the Oscar Isaac, he breaks a tooth, and then everyone dies in the room except the Baron.
Because for some reason he can, like, fly, and he was, like, in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that. Like, it didn't get said because he just looked like this fat, bald guy.
Looked like a slug, yeah.
And then you see him, he's like sitting up on the wall, like looks like a deformed Tempur-Pedic pillow. Yeah. And then he gets healed somehow, and Dave Bautista gets all mad. He's like, I can't believe they would do this.
Dave Bautista was so underutilized. I don't understand.
Yeah, I didn't get why he was there. Scenes. Like he seemed like the leader outside of the
trailers to get people in butts in seats. That is why Dave Bautista was in this film.
They're setting him up for the future because he's probably. I guarantee the Baron will die and Dave Bautista will take over.
Yep, or something. Something. Maybe a big battle because he was in the movie 2 scenes, 3 scenes.
Like, I wanted to see more of him because he seemed like the leader of like the ground forces, and then you see him in like 2 throwaway scenes of like, why are we doing this, Uncle? He's like, we fought for this. This is our world for so long. How could the Emperor do this? And he just goes, you need to learn how to follow orders and stuff like that. And he's like, kind of throws like a tantrum, but I mean, he's right. He's been leading this group for 80 years.
But it doesn't I guess like the Emperor like got Atreides there, the House of Atreides took over the planet, but then they wanted to kill the House of Atreides.
Because they're too powerful. They are some of the most powerful warriors.
Okay.
But then the Baron even says with Dave Bautista, that's why they attacked, because they even say they have Duncan and Gurney, the powerful swordsmen and all this stuff, and they're scared of them because they're like the strongest fighters out there. But they even say, they're like, but what is the greatest swordsman against, being outnumbered? And that's why they send like 4 legions or 3 legions. So they outnumber them like 20-1. So then that's why they have all those ships come and attack, which was a cool scene. I mean, seeing the attack happen, I'll give it props. It did seem pretty cool.
Momoa dies.
Well, that was later, but remember first in the first fight where they're bombing and then Josh Brolin like runs out onto the tarmac and all the soldiers, those nameless faceless soldiers, all running out with their knives.
Yeah,
and then
because they just use knives.
Yeah, or swords, I guess. They're like in between a sword and a knife. But then like you don't know if Josh Brolin dies. Like Gurney, you just see him like
blow up
all on like the tarmac, like about to fight head to head, this huge clash that you think is going to be awesome, and you just see him scream like, "With me." All of them run. As soon as they stab the first guy, you see an explosion, and then they're never seen again. And you're like, what happened? Yes. Are they dead?
Momoa dies then trying to save his
one was sad.
Apprentice Mentee Paul, which the battle, I disagree. I felt it was the most anticlimactic, long, drawn-out, stupid. It was just, to me, because not only it was like, they look at the door. I mean, it just and that's where. Well, we'll talk about it after we finish discussing, because Momoa dies, and then Paul and his mom escape. They fly a ship. They use the voice to take over the guys in the ship. So
because they get captured.
They get captured, but then the mom uses the voice to like throw the guys out of the ship. And then they hit the sandstorm, which is the longest sandstorm that I've ever seen in my life, and it's taken the longest ship crash I've ever seen in my life. It's like 10 minutes of them just spiraling down. I was like, oh my God.
And missiles tracing them into the sandstorm.
The movie Flight, which is about the crash, and Denzel Washington was shorter than this crash. It was just...
But like, then they
the Harvingers.
They crash, and the mom and Paul do not get hurt after being in a sandstorm, having missiles blow up around them, losing 2 of their wings of their like 6 wings on their like mosquito ships, which were pretty cool.
Jesus.
And like they just land after like crashing, the ship's still intact mostly, and there's no scratches, bruises, bleeding, nothing. So, like, what kind of airbags are in these things, Sean? That's my question. Who created the airbags?
They don't have computers anymore.
Yeah, true.
But airbags, man.
I guess, man. I don't know how.
I have no idea.
Because that was a gripe for me. I was just
the voice just protected. Maybe it's the shields.
Oh,
the
yeah.
shields on their armor.
Yeah.
Just your body can fly against the windshield at 300 miles per hour
or faster, and just get slammed around. And nope, no issue. But a little sword could just pierce.
Jump into a hurricane, fly out the top. You'll be fine.
And then just land wherever you land. No damage, right?
God.
Yeah. But then, like, after they land there, then they meet the Ravengers, and Sean's favorite scene happens then when they meet the Ravengers. So they meet the leader of the Ravengers again, who they met earlier, and they meet his group with Zendaya and like all these other guys, and they try to like kill Paul and the mom, but then like, you know, the mom ends up taking one of them and like is about to kill him, and like Paul is about to like get on the hill, he steals a gun, he's about to shoot him, but then Zendaya's right there, and she's like pretty much threatens him, like, if you shoot anyone, I'll kill you. So then they finally get allowed to like talk to the group, and then Sean's favorite scene happens in the entire movie. Sean, what happens after they all meet and are in a circle, a little powwow? What happened, Sean?
Well, I have no idea. Javier Bardem. I don't even know, man. What Frank had to have been high when he wrote this book, because freaking Javier Bardem's the leader, and then this black dude's like the greatest warrior of them. And
who Duncan respects. And Duncan is like the best warrior.
And then Paul, the dude's like, there cannot be two of us. Or he wants to fight Paul for some reason because they realize Paul's Jesus Christ and he's going to save them. But then the black dude's like, you have to do a test.
You have to have a trial by combat.
And to kill me. And they're like, well, he's the greatest warrior and like combat guy. So then Paul like fights this dude and he beats him easily.
And under like the whole fight is maybe a minute and a half.
And it's the most annoying
just
fight.
Toying with him. Like, I think Paul gets knocked down like twice.
Well, he like doesn't want to kill him.
But then immediately knocks the other guy down. And like, this is the greatest warrior that even Duncan respects, and Duncan would destroy Paul every time.
Even though Paul basically got his butt kicked by Gurney.
But yet can beat the greatest warrior of the Ravagers, who is as good as Duncan, and Duncan is better than Gurney.
And the fight was just, to me, the most annoying fight I've ever... So, like, how I talked about in Black Widow, and I'm like, you know, less is more. This was, like, less.
Less is less.
This was, like, the most annoying fight ever, because not only do you have the director's annoying cinematography, where he pans on people and it takes like them 5 minutes to like make a move. It was like Dragon Ball Z, where they're like, come
where they're powering up, where it's like long and drawn out.
It's so long for them to make sword fighting moves. I've never seen sword fighting be the most boring thing ever. And not only that, but the dude that Paul fights is just yelling the whole time. He's like, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, oh my God. Not only on top of Hans's music, which is like, bah. So you have this long scene with them fighting, slowly swinging at each other. Well,
and Sean,
until he finally kills him, and it's just like, what just happened?
The reason Sean and I hate this, and this is probably our most hated part, is like Paul has him with the knife up to his throat, and he literally yells, "Yield!" And then the leader of the Ravagers literally goes, "There is no yielding, only by death." And then we're just like, come on. So then they fight again for another like 20 seconds. Paul again gets him with his knife to him, about to kill him. And he's like, yield. And then he's just like, no. And then the mom looks at the leader and goes, Paul's never killed a man. And then Paul finally ends up killing him. And then they accept him and allow them to travel with them. But I'm just sitting here like, after this fight.
And then the movie ends.
I literally said after that fight, I go, so you sacrifice your best warrior, who shouldn't have lost, but he was facing Jesus Christ, so, you know, that's why I lost. But why would you let your best warrior die just for these two to be with you, that you don't trust them at all?
I
But then, then the movie ends. Then Zendaya and Paul have a little bit of dialogue.
They hold
and
hands.
then they hold hands. They start walking through the desert. And then she looks at him and goes, "This is just the beginning." And then it pans out. And then the movie ends. And like, I'm not saying it's a great movie. I'm not even saying it's a like well done movie. I will say it's a decent one. I know Sean doesn't like it. I think it was decent. Like, it's not like a great watch. It's not something I'd be like, oh my gosh, everyone needs to see it. But it is one that, like, I don't know. Maybe if you saw the original, you might appreciate it. I mean, I haven't seen those yet. I've seen
cutscenes of David Lynch's, and to me, I like it already just because of his set designs and the makeup. The makeup for, like, the Baron, he's got, like, oozing pus, boils on his face. Like, there's a lot of blood and guts and gore. And
why did they do that in this one?
Very 80s-esque, which is what I love. It's very old-school filmmaking.
Well, it's not CGI.
No, well, they didn't. Well, there is CGI in it that's really, like, silly. Like, they have the force fields, and they're basically, like, cubes. So it's kind of silly.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it's not like everything is CGI like this movie.
This film, it's like the entire thing.
Come on, Sean. I know you like the ships they travel in, the giant hot dogs. Oh, that's all they are. God. They look like giant bratwursts.
Yes, and it's just God. This film, I really tried watching it like 4 times because I really wanted to like it. I'm like, there has to be something wrong with me. Maybe it's just like I'm like too ADHD for this thing. I tried watching Blade Runner 2049. I'm like, nope, still a pretty good film, just long, and could have cut out probably about an hour of it. This film, they could have cut out an easy hour. I mean,
it wouldn't have changed anything. There was a lot of throwaway lines and scenes.
Throwaway line scenes. He just took so long, like with Duncan's death. Like the fortress where they're in is being overwhelmed by the guys, and Duncan, Paul, his mom, and then the black chick, like I forget her name.
Well, she's part of the Ravagers.
She's part of the Blue Eyes, yeah.
And she's one that helps out House Atreides and like inspects their ship, their armor. She's like a good guy. Like they're trying to escape,
and like they hear the noise, and it's like there's 4 of them in this room. Cut to them. Cut to the door. Bong! Cut from the door to Duncan for 5 minutes. Duncan's face, back to the door, to the black chick, back to the door, back to the...
And then to Paul.
They do that to every single person. It takes 2 minutes for the freaking door to open for freaking Duncan to be like, all right, I'm going to go fight. And it's like, what?
And like...
Well, you just wasted 5 minutes of my life for them cutting to... How many reaction shots do I need? Like you do... And reaction shots don't need to be 20 seconds. That is the problem. This whole film was reaction shots. They could have saved 30 minutes just by cutting down the reaction shots.
Yeah. I mean,
long.
I'm not saying that part is why I like Duncan and how Duncan goes out. I'm saying like how I like Duncan goes out is he like pretty much like goes out to the door. He opens it. He sees his buddy fighting. That's one of the like powerful ones of like the military of the House of Atreides.
Sure.
Fighting the invading form of the special elites of the Barons guys, and he gets killed. And then he like yells his name. He turns around, looks at Paul and his mom, who are like 2 doors away, and he like shuts the door and then like salutes them by putting his sword up. And then like Paul screams Duncan because he knows Duncan is sacrificing himself. And that's where I didn't mind it, because you get the badass send-off scene of the greatest warrior of this house just fighting guys, and ends up getting, as I said, the problem with Black Widow. They send in when you have 10 guys in a room, in Black Widow, they send them in one at a time. In this one, they all just start going. They're all staggered because the door is so thin, they can only come in one at a time. But as soon as they get in, they are charging him. It's not like 5 come in and 1 goes, the other 4 are just standing there. Yeah. And that's why Duncan loses, is because he gets overwhelmed, because yes, he's the greatest, but when you have 2 swords and you only have 2 hands and there's 4 people attacking you at once, you're gonna take hits. And that's why Duncan dies, which is why I like that scene.
Yes.
And then when they're about to get through the door to kill Paul, his mom, and the Ravager chick, Duncan, who was stabbed through the stomach, in his last hurrah stands up and like gives like a scream, like a war cry, and just starts stabbing everyone and killing them. And then Duncan ends up dying, but he kills all the guys. But he sacrificed himself, which is why I was okay with Duncan.
Which is fine.
He was introduced as the big guy on campus. He was introduced as the greatest warrior who was just there to be a mentor, not to be super deep, and to get killed off. Which, again, my problem I have with this movie too was if Josh Brolin's character Gurney died, along with Duncan dying, along with the Duke dying, like they killed off pretty much any character that was interesting to me. Like Gurney, I was curious to learn more about because I'm like, okay, well, he even says with Duncan gone, I am the new weapons master. So I was like, cool. How is he going to develop? Nope, we think he's dead. Duncan, who is the strongest one, likes the Ravengers, is learning their kind, learning from them, likes them. He gets killed off. The Duke, who you learn a little about, but he's a very honorable man. He's a very good leader, has the interest of the people, the interest of the Ravengers. He says, you know, if I want to go into the desert, I will, but I can guarantee I will not hurt you. I will not steal from you. Your areas are yours. And then they even say that's a very honorable thing. He gets killed off. So all of them die. You're killing off anyone that is established outside of Jesus Christ.
See, but I didn't even care because I couldn't care about these characters because they're so boring to me. I was just like, I don't care.
And it all came back to Paul, Sean.
And it all came back to Paul.
You liked Paul. Don't you lie to me. I know.
He's garbage, man. I felt the acting was so wooden. Him and his mom, like, all the acting in this film sucked to me. It was just the most boring, subtle. Like, and I like subtle, but when the whole film is long, panning cuts, and it doesn't have to be, and it's just there because stylistic choice. The only character that I really cared about was the Baron. Because Stellan Skarsgård, he was happy to be there. He was like the Emperor in the prequel. He just wanted to cause a ruckus.
To ask you, so the guy who played the Baron, now correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't look it up, but I heard his voice, and that's what made me think, did he play Bill Turner from Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And I heard Thor.
I heard the voice, and I'm like, I know that voice.
He's amazing. He's such a great actor. And I loved him. I thought he was the only good part of the film.
Wait, he was in Thor? Who did he play?
He played the scientist. Him and Natalie.
Portman. No way. Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, Skarsgård's great. And he was the best part to me. But everyone else was just boring. Bautista's cool. I love him because of wrestling.
He wasn't fleshed out, though. He, like you said, he was in there for 2 minutes. He's literally shown as the leader and then gets mad.
I believe, though, Gurney isn't dead. So it's like...
Which is fine with me because...
It's just the king
I know you didn't like them, but I personally thought Duncan and Gurney were just like the fighters. And I'm like, okay, well, if they're wiping out all of House Atreides... who's going to be there? Because I'm like, if they just have Paul and his mom join up with the Ravengers or whatever, I was like, so then what was the point of showing anyone from House Atreides outside of just killing them off? Like, there was no purpose. But if, like, Duncan and Gurney survive and a couple other people, okay, it doesn't cheapen it that much. Then it makes it a little better. But, again, still, like, why kill off the Duke if you're going to have him show that he's, like, for the Ravengers? He's for his people. Why show that he is like actually a good leader and show that he's honorable? He's training Paul to be like him and wants like all this just to kill him. Why do that?
Well, that's a great question. Why? And why it takes an hour 45 to kill him off. Like, literally, it's like 30 minutes setup. They get there, another half an hour of just explaining to us the technology. Hey, they get attacked, another half an hour, and then another half an hour of them meeting the Ravengers, and then
the movie.
The whole movie is exposition. Like, stuff happens.
It's introductions.
But it's like, for what? A big battle for part 2? Like,
that is a problem I had. That'd be like if you took the first Avengers, but cut out that ending battle with Loki and just make it all be set up for the second movie to be Loki invading Earth. Like, it wouldn't have been as good.
And I get it. Like, Paul loses, and he loses his family and everything.
But he loses his dad. He doesn't lose anything.
It just cheapens it all because of the pacing. The pacing is so damn slow.
Well, it's like I said, it's like a roller coaster. It gets slow, and then it gets fast, and then it gets slow, and then it gets fast. And then after Duncan's death, the movie goes from being just getting back up to that fast pace to going to a crawl. Once Duncan dies and they get into the ship and they get captured, that is when it starts to go downhill, and then for the last half hour, it is a crawl because you get the sandstorm, you get the fight with the Ravengers, you get the little, this is just the beginning, and then it ends. Like,
but it's even the dialogue, though, to me, it's just like Dave Bautista goes and visits the Baron when he's in the pool, the black pool. It's like a 3-minute scene. He just shows up. We have to pan over the pool. We have to pan over this. We have to pan over that. A minute of just showing us the area. Yes, I get it. It's like environment porn. And then Dave Bautista like says something to him. 30 seconds go by. The Baron says something. 30 seconds. It's just like, why does it have to take this long to have a conversation? And maybe it's because of Marvel, like quick. But I don't know. Just taking your time with scenes that take time is wasting my time.
Yeah.
Because
Sean,
it takes me out of it.
Did you know this movie got an 82 on Rotten Tomatoes?
I do know.
And it got an 8.2 out of 10 by IMDb.
That's because the only people that saw this film that liked it were Dune fans. And
it got an 82 on the tomato meter and a 90 from the audience.
I'm sure if I smoked weed, if I was like high
or drunk,
if I was high and I saw this film, I'm sure I would have loved it because it would have slowed everything down and it would have been like, whoa, man. But like just watching this thing, I don't know, it just took too long for me. Too long. But I know Dune fans love it and they swear by it and they say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't know. For me, it's a hard pass.
It's a hard pass?
Hard pass. If I'm going to rate this film, and I will, I don't plan on ever watching it again.
Sean, I have a little stats for you here too.
Give me some stats.
That on the movie, how much did they spend to make this movie? They spent roughly $165 million.
Yep.
And box office gross. Let's see. It said I was reading.
300 some million, 336.
Dune has now grossed 69 million in North America and 292 globally as of Halloween. So it's made its money back
overseas.
Yeah, overseas, because in the US it grossed, what is that, like 40% of what they put into it, because it grossed about 70 million and they spent 165. So it made not even 33%. Yeah, not even 50.
A third. That's because we don't, like, most people here, the only people that saw it here were people that read the book, I feel like.
Or watched the old movies. Essentially, anyone that is over the age of like 35 probably saw it, and they will probably like it, which I've talked to 2 people. But again, it's kind of like Star Wars and what we've talked about. If you don't know any of the source material and you look at it analytically, it's
which is one of those where like we were talking about, like with Star Wars, it would have been nice to like know the rules, setup, and all that.
Dune, it would have been great to know the rules.
Dune, it would have been great to know the rules, but the problem with Dune is, we don't know the rules, and they want to show us the rules, but they also don't want to break down the dialogue in layman's terms. So they explain the rules using crazy weird dialogue from the book that you have to like just look at it and be like, what the hell are they talking about? And not only that, it moves at a caterpillar pace.
Oh,
so it's just, so you're just like baffled. Whereas they could have easily just given a title crawl. Quick.
That's what I was going to say.
Establish what it's about. Boom, let's get into business. Like, we don't need this whole...
The opening text crawl in Star Wars, like some people I know don't like it. I mean, Star Wars made it iconic.
It did.
But it does help. Like, give us those 3 paragraphs of just basic text that just sums up what is going on.
Well, it's like Eternals. They explained it.
Yeah.
In Eternals, we got it. You figured it out, and if you weren't sure, Eternals explained it very quickly.
And don't worry, we will get to Eternals shortly here, because we're almost done with Dune, because we've talked about most of the movies.
Yeah.
The big thing we have left here, which I'm sure you are all dying to know. Sean, how would you rate this movie?
I'm never going to watch this again. I've tried 4 times, and I'm sorry. It's just like, I don't want to waste another 3 hours of my life trying to understand this caterpillar pace movie. So for me, I'm good. I tried. I mean, it's just not there for me. The filming style is just so arduous. It's just so distracting. It takes forever. That's my lens flare. And then like the red shirts, I mean, they just kill off like the Duke. They killed him off, and
all those nameless soldiers with Josh Brolin's character on the tarmac. They just kill all of them.
They killed off so many characters, and you didn't really get to know the characters. And all the characters to me in this film were so similar because and I get it. The setup for the book is it's 8,000 years in the future. We're all supposed to be super stoic people with no emotion. We're able to control ourselves. But the thing is, for movies, that's a boring character. Like, characters that emote and are emotional and really edgy and weird and wild, those are like the fun things for me that I like to take away when watching a film. I don't like to watch boring stoic characters barely emote because they have everything under control. No, like obviously that's the goal, to become Buddha. But when everyone's Buddha,
it's not fun.
It's just not fun. That's why Baron's the only cool one, because he's like evil and he wants to kill everyone.
Yeah.
But it's like then Paul is he's not that well acted and he's just annoying.
Jesus Christ.
He's like Hayden Christensen. He's like Anakin in the prequel. He's just obnoxious. So
I mean,
just
for the actor, for the role he was given, I mean, he did his role fine.
He tried.
I can't hate the actor
face,
because it's what he was given. Yes,
I think it's just what he looks.
He has a classic dumb face.
He's just what he looks like. He's just too pretty. And
yeah, true. They did. I mean, there's not really any dirt or anything on his face ever. No scratches. Nothing. It looks like every scene just left the makeup trailer.
Yeah.
Like the mom changes because in the first quarter half of the movie, she has like her hair done up, has all this nice makeup, looks very presentable. And then once you get halfway through the movie, she looks like she's like had sand rubbed in her face for the last like 10 minutes, like she's been tortured. Her hair's down. So she actually looks like she's been in a sandstorm. Whereas Paul,
no,
he looks like he came out of the makeup trailer.
He's perfect all the time.
His hair never misses a beat.
So I'm good.
Okay.
I didn't care for any of like the cheap shots where they like teased Javier Bardem and all these different characters. I think it's just the cast was too big, too many characters,
and not enough time.
Too much time wasted.
Well,
on
that's what I'm
other
saying.
Things.
Too much time, but not enough time on the characters.
Yeah.
Too much time spent on I mean, visually, the movie looked great. I will give it props. Like visually, just looking at it, it looked great.
But it's just the characters. For me, it was just too sciencey, too sci-fi.
Yep.
Too much fantasy and sci-fi for me to pay attention and like know to keep track of.
Understandable.
So, I'm good. How about you?
Having watched this movie fully through twice, like willingly, not anything like that. I will say it is. I don't know if I could say it's a would watch if I saw it on. It's one of those that I might watch periodically every once in a while, like maybe once a year or even longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
When part 2 and 3 come out, I will probably watch those. Can't say if I will go see those in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Might wait till they come out on like HBO or whatever. But yeah, I would put it between would like a would watch, kind of around there.
Okay.
Wouldn't be one that I'd watch consecutively or anything like that. If I had to give a red shirt, it would definitely be the best fighter of the Ravengers. That was really dumb. Why kill off your most valuable asset? Like Duncan's death made sense. But Gurney's death. I mean, that one, Gurney and the other soldiers would be my other one, because it's like you just see them charging out onto the battlefield. You expect this big battle. Nothing happens. Like, why not have Dave Bautista's character lead the charge versus Gurney and have all these fights and then have Gurney fight Dave Bautista's character and have this, give us just like even a 30-second action scene and have one kill the other. I don't care which way it goes. But just have something. Nope. Just have them charge, and as soon as it happens, cut away and never show it again. Like, it was pointless. So red shirt would definitely be between the greatest fighter of the Ravagers or Gurney and the soldiers, because it was just wasted potential. And lens flare, the sandstorm.
Yeah.
That scene, just,
holy crap.
The sandstorm was cool, but why did it have to last like 40 seconds? And then the ship crashing. Why was there so long and no damage done to Paul or his mom in the ship? Like sand's soft, but crashing a ship at, I don't know, even 80 miles an hour would probably cause damage. But I mean, did they fall at 2 miles an hour? Did they just get set there? So yeah, lens flare.
The filmmaking didn't bother you at all. The pacing or anything?
The pacing, like I said, it was like a roller coaster. It was. It went very started out interesting, got boring. Have some climactic parts that were ends of arcs that shouldn't have ended, like the Duke and Josh Brolin. It's just it was interesting, not interesting. It was just on and off. Every 15 minutes, it just swapped from one to the other. And it was hard to keep attentions at points. But overall, I would give it was a decent movie.
Okay.
Is the best I could give.
Hey, that's
I
good.
could give it decent.
That's good if you like. Yeah. Hey, no worries. No judgment.
Yep. It's the best I can do.
It's just for me, I don't know.
Not your cup of tea.
Sometimes for me, books, it's hard to adapt books to the feature film. And I think if you're really loyal to the
source
material, sometimes that stuff just doesn't translate over. And I think for me, there's just too much description.
Understandable.
It's like reading a Tolkien. I remember as a kid reading Tolkien and I got bored because he would take 10 pages to describe a freaking mountain. And it's dude, I just don't care. I want to hear about the fighters.
But when you're older, that's actually
some people like
do,
it. Some people
it's actually good. It's like The Hobbit, same thing. It has so much information. It's so good, but the movies did a horrible job. It's you could have adapted it better, but you wanted to make money. But Dune, I can't say that they wanted to make money because, worldwide, they're not even at double what they put into it.
No,
they put
in
165. They put in 165 into it. They didn't even made. Yeah. Oh, what they make?
336.
Okay, on here. Oh, well, mine was as of Halloween. It wasn't even 300.
So they doubled it.
Okay.
So they made
money.
They probably broke even.
Yeah, they made some money after paying actors and everyone like that.
So I think
they're gonna make a second and third. They already said they would.
Yeah, they're gonna, and they'll give it to him. I guarantee this film is gonna win Academy Awards for visuals and well deserved.
Probably
sound. Oh god.
Unfortunately, Sean, it's gonna probably win
for sound and the track and all that. Just not my cup of tea. But hey, not everything for everyone.
Yep,
unfortunately. Right. It's just a third one for me where I'm pass.
Yep. This is all passes and one decent for me.
That's all right.
So we're getting there.
Well, Kyle, this has been a pleasure talking about Dune. We were going to try and fit Eternals in here, but it looks like it's
there's so much emotions for Dune. It's
so much to unpack. Yeah, such a dense movie, you know.
Who knew such a slow-paced caterpillar movie could have so much to talk about?
Oh my God! Smite me down, Lord. Hopefully, I never see it again. But sweet. So this is part 3 for Dune with Sean and Kyle talking about things. If you enjoyed hearing this, subscribe, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, email us, our website www.forcefitsci-fi.com, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff. Twitter, check us out and see what we can rate for you. Pleasure. Until next time, Kyle and I will probably revisit and talk a little bit about Chicago sports finally and Eternals if we get around to it.
That'll be fun.
All right. Till next time.